Okay, so for picks and bans, on blue team we have banned out Yasuo, Nasus, and Jinx, all very powerful champions. We don't actually usually see Nasus or Jinx banned. I think it's a good idea to do so, but I'm surprised to see they didn't ban out the Gragas, especially seeing as Insane Platypus was reinvited for this game. Knowing that he's a very powerful champion and knowing that he's probably going to be played, it's a solid ban. On purple team, we have banned out Vi, Kassadin, and Mundo. Great champions right now. Mundo can be a super tanky beast up top lane, and his jungling is still pretty good. It's definitely a solid ban. In terms of picks, blue team has picked up a Wukong, which I'm assuming, yeah, that would be a top Wukong. It took me a second because I'm so used to seeing Wukong jungle these days. Wukong jungle, a Blitzcrank support, a mid Ziggs, a Kog'Maw. Haven't seen Kog'Maw in a while, and of course a words are failing me right now. Amumu. Amumu is their jungler. I like the AoE team comm they have. If Blitzcrank grabs someone, they can instantly pop them with a quick follow-up of CC and Burst. Alternatively, if they need to hard engage with Amumu or Wukong, both of them are capable of doing so and following up whoever engaged originally. My only concern, though, is they don't have a hard disengage to protect the Kog'Maw. Usually, the whole classic Protect the Kog'Maw team comp involved things like Janna, Morgana, Malphite, Amumu, things like that, where you can just kind of hard disengage fights. Sona was also pretty decent, although Janna was better, where you just say, I don't want to fight you right now, and you just disengage the entire team. They're not going to have that, so if he's caught out, that's going to be painful. Also, in lane, if Blitzcrank grabs a Draven, that's going to be a lot of pain coming in on Cog's ugly face. On the purple team, then, we have a Gragas mid, another Leona Draven. Oh no. It's a different AD carry. Hopefully it won't be quite as one-sided. So we have Leona Draven bot lane, a Rengar jungle, and a Darius top. Not a bad team comp. They have some pretty decent disengage from Gragas and Leona, as well as Darius, who can sort of intercept anyone trying to dive onto Draven. And in the meantime, Rengar is a great pick in this team comp because he can get to Kog'Maw. If Kog'Maw is getting ahead, and if he's actually a threat, well, Rengar's going to one-shot him pretty much every team fight, assuming Rengar plays it properly. So I like that idea, and I like the protection they have for Draven, and I like the kill potential they have for Draven. Honestly, though, it boils down to how well the lane is played. If they land a bunch of grabs, that's going to be a dead Draven. If they are able to play safely and farm through the game, that could make Draven not that useful. Draven kind of has to snowball. Same with Darius. Darius can have issues if he doesn't get ahead in lane. But overall, both teams have a lot of opportunities to counter the enemy team. My only real concern is the Kog'Maw pick. I think it's a little odd, but it's perfectly fine. Do you have any extra remarks on that there?
I gotta say, the Cog pick was very brave. He is one of the best late game hyper carries in the game still, and he's also really good at just melting down heavy targets like a Leona, Gragas, Darius. But on the other hand, he's so vulnerable, and Wukong is, I think, and Amumu are their best chances at peel, and neither of them are incredibly reliable. The problem I have, I know you don't really like Blitzcrank. I think he's one of the best supports still at the game when it comes to just spoon feeding your ADC. He's up there with Leona just in terms of ease of just giving your ADC kills. But with a Cog, I'm not sure how easily Cog will be able to take advantage of that pointing the grabs.
Yeah,
Like,
and
he has the
unfortunately,
ADC.
there's no way that he's going to be able to follow up unless it's pulled into a tower. He will not have the damage in order to actually set up a kill. Their best bet is trying to turtle the entire lane phase and farm it out. They can then use the Blitzcrank to set up easy ganks. The ganks would make it work, but in just a straight-up 2v2 lane, that's going to be very dangerous. And yeah, I had the concern with... oh my god. You were talking about Blitzcrank being really good at delivering kills. There's no one to take advantage of those kills in this lane, and the advantage you have when you have someone like a Leona is less risk. As you say, he has a lot of opportunities to sort of force feed his allies' kills, But Leona does a very similar thing and is more self-sufficient, has less counterplay, and is just simply overall better, as is Thresh, as is a lot of different picks right now. And that's why I hate Blitzcrank. Not that he's a bad pick, it's just he's so outclassed. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
When JWF picked Soraka, I was actually a little excited. Soraka is really undervalued right. She's a niche pick, and I would really like to see a Janna or a Soraka with Cog, who can keep him safe and just sit with him and let him farm. Blitzcrank, I don't know if he'll be able to do that.
For the new members we have in the stream today, I want to also point out that we do stream all throughout the week. We do solo queue games, we do viewer games. I even sometimes will jump on Smurfs and duo with people, especially if they're like, let's say, oh, I'm stuck in a promo, I have to win the next game. I'll sometimes jump in for a duo on those. Not a guaranteed victory, but it's always nice to have someone there to sort of give you a helping hand and offer some encouragement and advice. We stream very often, and that often comes with giveaways as well. So something to keep in mind. Also, for those who are enjoying the stream and want to find ways to support it, we appreciate any sort of advertisement you guys can do for us. We do have social media pages. Most of them are listed below, including Tumblr, Facebook, all of that good stuff. And we also do have a donation page below for those who wish to offer financial support. That funds all of our giveaways, allowing us to offer more cool stuff for viewers, whether that's improved actual hardware to stream from to improve the stream quality, or whether it's just more larger, more interesting giveaways. It depends, but we do appreciate all of that. So it's something to keep in mind, just like to remind people so it's in the back of their noggin.
Not to mention all that uncut Bolivian cocaine Chris likes to have. It really gets him like wired for a stream, ready to go.
I pronounced that G Fuel, but okay.
I knew it. Oh my god. So, starting picks, Darius goes with Cloth, and then Pote, some mana potions and health potions. That's interesting. I'm not sure if Cloth is a fantastic starting pick on Topspin anymore compared to a D-Shield, but it does build into some good items, so that's definitely not a bad pick. Standard starts on everyone else on the team. Wukong starts with the D-Shield. And Kog'Maw is starting with the Longsword. We talked about this last time with Sivir. Longsword is a really risky start. I mean, it builds into sustain pretty quickly, but you're also leaving yourself quite vulnerable. And against the Leona Draven, ugh.
Yeah, I'm never a fan of Longsword starts, personally. I think it's just way too risky to be worth it. And it's not even like it gives a very large advantage.
When Draven and Vayne were both big picks, Vayne and you would pick like a Draven or a Misfortune, I would I had a full flat AD page and I would go with the Longsword, but that was a gimmick. Blitzcrank is walking in. Purple team is really protecting blue, so Blitzcrank should probably get back. I don't think there's anything waiting for him but death.
It is always nice, though, when you do have a Blitzcrank, you pretty much always want to try and just grab the blue over the wall, just to delay it. Not necessarily that you're going to take it or anything, but it's a nice thing to do. Purple team, on the other hand, is protecting it. They had a nice formation, nice protection, and even a ward coming in to make sure that wasn't going to happen, that no one was going to influence the Rengar in his picking up of buffs.
Having a team shield you is really great as a jungler. Just a really small nitpick. When I'm solo queuing and I have the ward trinket, what I like to do is drop that ward at the red, because it ensures that won't get stolen. And when it's a Mumu on your team versus a Rengar, that'd be a really nice thing just to prevent counter jungling.
Interesting, both supports have opted to go for a coin start rather than a Doran's Shield. And that's going to make them really squishy. It's going to pose a lot of problems. And until the Doran's Shield nerf goes through, pretty much if you don't take Doran's Shield and the enemy does, you've just lost all ability to trade in that lane, unless you just get free damage on them.
Right, like I was playing a Quinn the other day against Renekton. Renekton had a D shield, but since I was Quinn, I was able to poke enough to sort of make it worth it. With the nerfs coming through on D shield, it'll be a lot more of a niche pick. That being said, they're looking at nerfing coins gold intake at higher levels, so you can't upgrade it and get so much gold anymore. So that will be interesting to see if coin start's still worth it.
I think it's not really going to be a gold per 10 start still, though, because even before Doran Shield gained mainstream acceptance, people were back to doing consumable starts, or they were going for like a cloth armor start or something. Because starting gold per 10, you just don't get enough to be worth it in most cases.
I think I agree with you, and also something that they're looking at doing is removing the health per 10 on coin and replacing it with getting health when you're near a dead creep. So like you get gold and health. And that will mean when you're bullied past the creep line, you're really gonna it's gonna be really easy to shove someone out of lane.
Agreed,
Purple
and
playing
I
really
fully support that.
aggressively.
This is
Draven
good
knows how to
positioning
handle
coming out
Zaxxon.
from the Blitzcrank and Kog'Maw, actually. They want to be underneath their turret. I would expect to see Blitzcrank trying to set up a hook, though. As soon as the turret is no longer targeting minions, if you can set up a free hook into tower, that's pretty much the only way you're going to have kill potential in this lane. That being said, he's kind of just AFK under tower right now. I don't know if he's disconnected, lagging, or what's going on here. He needs to have lane presence. He needs to make something happen for his team, or it's going to be a real issue. Kog'Maw also not last hitting very well under turret at the moment. Being able to last hit on turret is an incredibly important ability, and you should be comfortable doing it with all of your main champions.
I just want to point out a little thing Draven is doing. This is something that Draven mains know for people who might be interested in picking the champ up. Probably don't. After he lands an axe, he turns around, and that's because the AI of the axe will follow your champion's movement. So when you have axes that are, when you're standing forward, the axe will move forward, and so catching the axes requires you to inch forward, which puts you in turret range right quick. By turning around, he's able to stay at a safe distance.
Okay, there should be slightly less lag on the stream right now. I forgot I was using the wrong capture mode. Good harass coming out onto the Ziggs, but unfortunately just not enough mana to really make anything happen on Gragas here. Lands a pull onto the Dark. Yes. Sorry, I was just going to say that. They did land the pull onto Darius, but he didn't have turret aggro, so they weren't really able to make any plays off of that. And at this point, he barely even has mana for one more grab.
Psst, it's Darius on top. Draven is on the bottom.
I know.
Well, you said Darius.
I was wishing it was Darius, because look at those arm muscles.
Oh, I see. Oh my god, they're so strong. So slow. Another pull into
Amumu
the
coming
tower.
in bot lane. They do have... Actually, she's still stuck in turret range. Kog'Maw is going to be able to pick up... No, not quite able to. In the meantime, Draven in behind, pumping out a lot of damage. Might take down Kog'Maw with him, but he is, in the long term, going to go down, I would expect. Just barely dodges the bandage toss. Again, I don't know quite what they're doing here. They're just kind of chasing him in, and they're going to end up giving him free kills.
Greed is very real. It's very tempting to be like, I gotta kill just one more auto attack. But if you can't land the auto attack, then it doesn't matter. And
Yeah,
you can
that was
end up
just
giving up
a
and kill
really
yourself.
bad split from Blue Team. They went on the Leona. They got the Leona stunned in turret range. That's great. You want to kill her if possible. But then they just kind of left Draven alone in between three of them who are all low health in order to try and chase down the Leona. They ended up picking up the kill on her, but that doesn't matter when you're in turn going to die to the Draven. It would be better to just say, okay, Leona's out of the fight, let's turn on to Draven and kill him.
Draven stuck around, get some creeps, now he's going back. That's really nice on him, just to be like, okay, I'm gonna stick around, I'm safe, because they are all dead. A lot of people will go back, and they're giving up gold, they're giving up XP. Draven was smart enough to stick around and get that little extra boost.
Up top lane, we have about 20 CS advantage onto Darius, and that is pretty significant. I mean, we're only 7.5 minutes into the game. You have to keep in mind, Wukong is mana hungry. he doesn't have the damage to really be able to kill Darius before he runs out of mana, especially with that not the Doran Shield, the Cloth Armor start. So he's pretty much just out of mana, he's zoned from farm, and he's not last hitting under tower as well as he might be able to otherwise. He's just, in the long term, he's wearing himself down.
I was originally not critical, but I said the cloth pot start might have been inferior to a D shield. I'm going to have to take that back. Wukong is a one-man kill lane, essentially, and Darius' little bit of armor and the consumables mean that he's able to withstand the harass, and that's giving him a really big advantage, especially because he's last hitting quite well.
Agreed, and I would argue that it's working for him because he is making the gamble that Amumu is not going to be able to camp him. He's saying, I'm going to push you into tower, I'm not going to let you farm, and I'm going to build an advantage for myself. If Amumu was able to babysit top, that would be a completely different story, because he'd be so far overextended, and Amumu and Wukong are going to be able to kill you before you get back to tower. But he knows, or he should know, that Amumu has to camp bottom if he wants Kog'Maw to be able to survive laning phase.
Right. He could be using his trinket a little more defensively, which he's actually looks like he's about to drop it now. When I go top and I like to stay, I like to just drop a couple of wards. It's safe. It's not always a guarantee that you'll escape, especially when there's like a Mumu, but a ward would ensure that has a little more peace of mind while he farms and harasses.
Okay, apparently Draven is urinating.
We have a pause going down. I assume somebody disconnected or
apparently
had some sort
Draven
of
had to
minor
pee.
thing going on. Okay, okay. We've had people take bathroom breaks before, that's fine. Just a reminder to try to like avoid pausing during the game if you can. Obviously don't like pee your pants during a game, that's not necessary. But just,
No, diapers
you know.
are necessary.
No, you use a bucket. Are you kidding me? Like, you'll get a rash.
But Adults depends. Adult Depends, they sponsor my stream, come on.
Oh, I'm sorry, dude. I didn't mean to take those sweet dollars out of your mouth.
Those sweet granny
Wait,
panty
why would you put
dollars.
money in your mouth? I don't really.
Mid
One time,
lane.
I have a friend.
Sorry, go ahead.
I have a friend who runs a webcomic, and you know, I went to his site, and there was like an ad for diapers. So I screenshot it and showed him, and he's like, "Cass, those ads are based off your browsing history," and I didn't really know what to say to that because I don't
You
wear
don't want to
diapers.
admit that you're looking at diapers. But yeah, I want to point out that Draven has built up a significant CS advantage in addition to his 3 kills. And that, again, just boils down to the fact that Kog'Maw has no real presence in lane. And combined with the Blitzcrank, like, Blitzcrank is just kind of standing under tower. He's taking free hits. He's not really doing anything. And now he's gonna die.
Like he is getting pulled under tower. That's quite good, but the thing is, they're not able to really capitalize on that, especially when Draven can just walk up. Leona is taking tower hits. That works for Draven. He just picks up some kills.
I would not have stayed once my support died. That seems like a poor plan when you already know he has 4 kills and a BF sword on you.
Yeah, unfortunately, this isn't even a case of Draven being some OP champion. I assume someone else is urinating right now. This isn't even a case of Draven being an OP champion the last 2 games. It's just poor champion choices and poor item build choices. And that's unfortunate, but hopefully this serves as a learning experience at all stages of the game, including champion select.
Yeah, as soon as you see something like a Draven Leona, you have to think, okay, how are we going to deal with this? You have to keep it down, or you're going to pretty much just get snowballed against. It's such a potent kill lane. It's like seeing them playing I don't even remember what the best ones are, a Pantheon Rengar lane, let's say, or a Pantheon Jarvan, or one of those really, really high kill potential lanes, and saying, yeah, I'm going to play Kog'Maw, I'm going to play, I don't even know, Teemo.
Jinx.
I'm going to play Teemo AD carry versus a Pantheon Jarvan lane. Like, something like that just doesn't seem like a good plan. I'm not saying that you should never play Teemo AD carry. I don't think it's good, but I'm not saying you should never ever do it or you're bad. I'm simply saying play it when it's appropriate.
So
They are able to pick up
also
a
there,
kill
yeah.
onto a Mumu.
I'm gonna ulted there. I'm not saying that's the worst decision in the world. I understand the logic behind it. But that being said, sometimes you have to go, I'm dead. I'm dead. Like, there's nothing I can do. So I'm gonna save my cooldowns. When I'm alive, I can come in and ult. Like, it's not worth blowing an ult. That's such a huge team fight winning ability. Sometimes you should just take the death.
Yep. Kog'Maw again
Couple
trying to
picks up
fight.
dragon. Gets the kill. He dies as well, but
That
at
was
least he
sort.
remember when bounties were 1,000 gold?
I honestly don't. Like, I in my mind I do, but I don't remember actually experiencing them because I didn't pay that much attention to the game back then.
It was the sort of thing where it wasn't a big deal if just one person with the bounty died, but there'd be like games where there was a total stomp and then someone would get a triple kill on 3 legendary enemies. And oh my god, now they just buy an Infinity Edge.
That would be amazing. I want to point out that Blitzcrank staying bot lane ended up getting Leona's flash, so that's an important cooldown for them to keep track of. I like to start keeping them in the back of my mind. I usually don't physically time them, but a lot of people do. It's a good thing to do.
Fun fact, actually, about ADC is what you were saying earlier about picking. Jinx is actually really not popular in Korea. They're like, we acknowledge she's a strong champion, but she's just not mobile, and the Koreans really love Ezreal, they love Caitlyn, they love being able to jump around.
And it's entertaining because they kind of had the same opinion when Lucian came out. They were the only ones playing Lucian. They're like, what are you talking about? He's amazing. That's unfortunate. Ziggs used not the bouncing bomb. He used the satchel charge to try and interrupt the movement coming in from Rengar. Knocked him out of Amumu's bandage.
Yeah, that's... One time I was playing Janna back when Galio was dominant, and I accidentally blew everyone out of Galio's ult, and my entire team started yelling at me, and I didn't play Janna for like 2 years.
That seems like a good response.
Post-traumatic stress syndrome. PTSD.
So Mumu's trying to sneak in bot lane. He does have his ult and he has his flash. I would expect to oh, or you just go onto a minion. No, that's a bad engage by a Mumu. He needed to go in behind and land a bandage toss. He instead hit bandage toss to a minion. That's one of your stuns down. He then tried to ult, and even if the ult were to hit, it would not have really won the fight.
If someone's playing like Lee Sin, I can understand why they would use their movement ability to get to a mid. Because it's about closing the gap, but with bandage toss, that is your CC. You don't use it to close distance, use it to land on a champion.
Usually what you'll do on an Amumu is you would prefer to flash ult and then use bandage toss as ult is wearing off. That way you guarantee it hits. Comes in, lands a stun, and then they die.
Yeah, bot lane is an unfortunate snowball situation, and when you're getting snowballed and you are being just like destroyed, what would you recommend besides having the jungle or mid lane come down? Is there like, would you abandon towers? Should you group up and roam?
I would roam. Like, if I was Kog'Maw right... Well, obviously Kog'Maw needs to farm. If I was Blitzcrank right now, I'd be roaming. I'd say, okay, try and just, like, clench your anus really, really tight and pick up what farming experience you can, and I'm going to go try and make a play elsewhere. Landing... Oh, God, Ziggs, what are you doing? Ziggs, what are you doing?
No!
Oh. I don't even know what his plan was there. He just kind of stopped in the jungle and stayed there.
There are plays where you're assuming like someone's at Baron, so you land like a Ziggs ult, and if they were all there, you would have gotten a college run. It would have been amazing, but they weren't there, so you just wasted your ult. And your entire team yells at you. Something like that just happened, I think. Wrong set of information.
has been destroyed.
So Purple has a 10k gold advantage. That's pretty substantial. Blitz is kind of going where the enemies are. He's trying to stick with his team, but if he's not getting grabs, that's not exceptionally helpful.
Ziggs is probably going to be in trouble here. Ziggs is continually sort of just getting caught out, and Blitzcrank abandoned Kog'Maw to die. Blitz needs to be standing beside him at all times.
Rengar is such a problematic champion in that he just bursts you from the shadows. So I'm really looking forward to his rework. I have deep feelings about how bad Rengar is.
I just have so many
Ziggs is
concerns
just
with how
shoved under
aggressively
tower.
they're positioning when they're so far behind. For example, Ziggs just walked up into lane knowing they're in his jungle to try and, I guess, pick up some CS, and then he has to use his full combo to try and escape from Leona. And that's even without Purple Team trying to really collapse on him or do much. He's just, I don't know, I'm seeing this from a lot of Blue Team right now, where they're just playing so aggressively when they're this far behind.
Yeah, Mumu just went in. He did not have ult, so he just kind of shoved them off the tower, which is a fine goal, but as we're seeing, they got to kill on Leona, but I'm not sure how much, if they're going to take any objectives off that, or if they're just going to end up getting mopped up if they shove up mid-tower.
No, instead they're going to chase down Draven, and he's going to kill them. Because, again, they're funneling in one at a time at a Fed 80 carry with no way to lock him down long enough to really do much. And, again, I keep saying the same thing, but you are playing so aggressively. You're trying to chase in kills, you're trying to duel people, and you don't have the resources, the CC, the communication, the team comp to do that.
I'm wondering if there's a misconception about the sort of ADC Draven is, in that people are treating it as, we just have to get on Draven and then we can murder him, when really Draven's happy to stand and fight. He's not particularly squishy, he has a little bit of disruption with his E, and standing still and just throwing axes at you is like his favorite thing to do.
Oh yeah, assuming you're not able to CC him for like 7 seconds, he's gonna kill you.
If you get on a Cog, an early game Vayne, you know, that's totally an acceptable strategy, is to jump on them and murder them, because they don't want to be in your face. Draven's fine at fighting you from any range, really.
We're seeing the exact same thing I mentioned in the beginning of the game. Wukong is not CSing properly. He's underneath his tower. He should be getting pretty much every single one of those last hits, and I think he got like 2 out of 6. So he needs to be practicing his last hits if he wants to continue playing Wukong. You need to be comfortable with lasting. You need to know your damage. You need to know sort of how the turret targets things. And that's just a really good, important skill to know. Draven coming in on mid. They're going to land the Zephyr, Leona... Not Zephyr. I'm thinking of Janna for some reason.
Zenith Blade?
Zenith, yeah. Yeah, I knew it was a Z, and I was like, wait, no, Zephyr is Jan as W. Rengar able to escape with his ult.
They blow 2 ults, and he just stealths out, jumps back in, and gets it looks like, yeah, they get a kill on a Mumu. Rengar is just such a slippery champion. It's really hard to lock him down, and blowing both ults was kind of it seemed like a good idea at the time, and it just was a waste of resources for nothing at all. Darius is just standing top. He's continuing to last hit. He has 2 times the CS as Wukong. He's 150 compared to 75. That is about a 7-kill advantage, I believe.
Yeah, it's an amazing amount of advantage that he has just from CS. He's not getting kills so much as he is... Well, no, he's not got any kills. But he's just staying there and saying, yeah, you're not going to get any farm, I am. And as a result, he's getting further and further and further ahead. His team does not need him. They are ahead enough. There's no reason for him to roam when he could just continue to shut down Wukong, make him essentially a null factor in these games, and then just scale up his own items. Okay. Rengar's gone for Sword of the Divine. It's a troll item, but it works. Whatever. I'm not even gonna go there. The weird thing, though, is Darius is going for Trinity Force. I don't play Darius, but I have never seen one successfully build Trinity Force and get away with it. It leaves them so vulnerable.
I don't mean to single anyone out, but Ziggs is saying in chat, Draven should be banned from ranked workshops. He is GG if it's fed. And obviously I'm not a diamond level player, but any champion in the game can be shut down. Any champion in the game. There's no such thing as a 100% OP champion. Even Kassadin, Yasuo, the considered the most OP of OP champions, have a way to shut them down. To say, ban them, I don't want to play them, is quite literally a scrub strategy. You're saying that they should be removed from the game so that I don't have to adapt. And unfortunately, you just won't improve that way.
Okay, Cute Killer Panda is saying that Trinity Force Darius is amazing and he always builds it. I'm not going to disagree because I don't play Darius and no one in my ELO plays Darius, so I'll just say okay and leave it at that. Draven
is very expensive, so it's always good. Like, that's how it works, obviously.
Yeah, Draven was moving in top lane. Leona coming in, collapsing onto Wukong, able to land the stun even though he flashes, and just combo in together and pick up yet another kill. I would expect to see them start to try and end the game now. They're so far ahead, they need to just push in and end, essentially.
This is, right now purple team, they're moving around in 1s and 2s because they're so far ahead. And what blue team could be doing is blue team could be using, they could be collapsing as 5 on these 1-2 little pockets of resistance in their jungle. And unfortunately, they're going toe-to-toe 1-2 against 1 or 2 purple teams. And the purple team has a 20k gold advantage. That's not working out.
Yeah, and the reason they're not able to deal with the Darius is they didn't pick anyone who can deal with the Darius.
Draven.
Yes, I am aware. I keep thinking of Darius in my mind, those muscles. No.
Oh, they're so big.
Draven is easy enough to shut down if you're picking champions who can actually do so.
Right, Caitlyn, for instance, does quite well against Draven. I believe Ezreal would do quite well. I haven't actually played that matchup, but
Yeah, Caitlyn's a good pickup versus it.
Poke, kite. Basically, you don't want someone who stands and fights and goes, "Come at me, bro," against Draven, because Draven will come at you and kill you. You want someone with mobility and poke. I believe Jinx might be okay. Caitlyn, Ezreal.
Yeah, Jinx has a couple of issues because no escapes, so you are going to get caught and it's going to be an issue. But that being said, to counter Draven, you don't feed him. And in order to not feed him, they needed someone who could disengage fights. And unfortunately, they don't have anyone who can disengage fights. Blitzcrank is pulling them onto his team, and then his team is dying.
Yeah, I really don't want to single someone out. I don't mean to be like really singling things out, making him feel like crap, but he's really showing some really negative attitude that was focusing back in the chat. He's saying Riot's doing a bad job. Riot needs to be balancing these champions. There are champions that are overpowered. There are champions that are difficult to play against. Sitting there and saying that Riot sucks at their jobs and they need to be removed from the game and GG is not going to help you get any better. It's not going to get you any higher ranking, and it's not going to... You're not going to sit there and complain and Riot's going to hear you and nerf those champions. That's not inside your power. What's inside your power is learning how to counter them and how to play against them.
Yeah, find a champion that either counters them, is able to keep them from snowballing, or just loses less, loses slower, so that your team has a chance to make a difference. But if you're honestly just saying, if this champion's picked, I'm not going to play the game, well, then don't play the game. Honestly, like, you have no control over what champions are played in the average game.
This is sheer theory crafting, but I'm wondering how Quinn would do against Draven, since she has the blind.
Pretty well, yes.
Q is a spell. Like, is Q a spell, or is it an auto attack in hand?
It's an on next hit, so yes, I believe it blinds it. Like, anyone with
So
a blind
Quinn
does
might
very
do
well
okay.
versus Draven.
The problem I have with Quinn is just, I think she just needs bug fixing and, like, tweaks. I don't think she needs a full rework. I'm actually playing a lot of Quinn in ranked right now, and having a ball of a time, so I'm a bit biased, but...
Yeah, my ranked team last year the AD carry, he loved Quinn, and it was one of those things where we would pick it, we would decimate our lane, we would do so well, and it's like, well, it's past 20 minutes, Quinn is now kind of useless. And it's still my same complaint with her, where she doesn't really have any scaling into the late game in terms of a traditional AD carry. She plays as a weird hybrid, like, ranged AD caster assassin style thing, where you kind of have to catch someone out, and you have to be fed enough to combo them to death. And if you can't do that, your actual team fight is pretty mediocre.
What I've been doing is taking Quinn top and split pushing with her because her one-on-one dueling is some of the best in the game. Valor, I think, is one of the strongest bruisers in the game in terms of stats, and also the mobility on Valor is ridiculous. So just taking Quinn top and shoving top, and like if they send 1 to 2 people up top, you deal with them. She's quite good at that. She does have some really bad bugs. She can sometimes blind herself or miss after a blind. Her passive is bugged. I think her ult could use some tweaks. She could probably use a little more range, but I think she's a pretty undervalued champ.
I had the most amazing Quinn the other day. It was a Quinn mid that they picked into a Kassadin. Apparently there's a bug where if you vault off Kassadin while he rift walks, you follow his rift walk.
That is incredible.
So basically, Quinn tried to vault off Kassadin, he rift walked over a wall, and she teleported over the wall after him and then cast her blind and killed him.
What are you running from? The disease is inside of you.
It's true. At this game, at this point, the game is pretty much over. They just need to go ahead and end it.
Unfortunately, this is one of those games where it's hard to give advice on specific plays because blue team made mistakes in champ select, and then they made attitude mistakes and teamwork and communication mistakes, which unfortunately are harder to work on as a solo player, and they're harder to really call out.
Yeah, they needed to play better in selection, and they needed to be playing better in terms of communication and how they were cycling, how they were countering their weaknesses in their team comp.
I feel like it's fine to pick a squishy like Vayne or Cog into Draven. Which does not work. If you say I am Vayne, I will lose the lane, but I will win the game, that's one thing. If I go, I'm a weak character in lane compared to this champ, but
It seems as though Ventrilo is cutting in and out, so we're not able to hear most of what you're
that's
saying.
because I apologize, that's my mouse button. I wasn't clicking it properly because I'm dumb.
So we're seeing the Sword of the Divine Infinity Edge coming out from Rengar, and as a result, he's able to instantly one-shot anyone he wants to, really, from his ult. At this point, Purple Team needs to just end the game, be done with it.
I gotta say, 2 Bloodthirsters on Draven and an Infinity Edge. Mother of God. But yeah, if you choose a squishy champion like Cog against Draven, you have to go with the attitude of lose lane, win game. As opposed to go toe-to-toe and win lane and win game.
Yeah, it just boils down to playing appropriately for the matchup. Okay, I would say it's probably best to switch over to viewer games instead, because we